Well, hello, and welcome to another episode of Ladies Listen Up. What is your relationship with your money? We know the drill. Go on over and grab one of your sister girlfriends and let them know that at Oasis Wellness of Life, we are talking about money and how to grow more money, how to create opportunities to increase our bottom line, and better yet, to be able to diversify our assets. Man, I tell you, once I learned that little trick, that little secret, man, oh man, it has blessed my socks off, and I wanted to bless your socks off as well. So let's go on over to Grandma's Cookie Jar. No, before we do, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Subscribe, share this information with somebody else, and tell them to hit that red subscribe button. All righty, let's get on over here to Grandma's Cookie Jar and see what's in store for us today. Before Grandma's Cookie Jar, I'm going to grab a little sip of tea. Mm-hmm. That is absolutely delicious. And by the way, thank you all for all your prayers, all your well wishes. I'm about 85%, maybe not 90 yet, but 85%. And I am just so grateful and I thank you. So let's talk a little bit about, so Grandma's Cookie Jar today says, you are rare and wonderful, just as you are. I love that. Just as you are. Live inspired. Wow. So you never know who you are the inspiration for. About a year ago, well, a little bit over a year ago, July of last year, I lost one of my sister girls, and she was so incredible and she was amazing to me. Her name was Tina Marie, and she was the sister girl that you would talk with, and you send funny memes to each other throughout the day, just helping to inspire each other and keep each other going because life and our money and our finances and all this, we juggle so many balls every single day. It can get pretty tasking. And then you say, wow, Dr. Liz, we need to add another task. We need to learn about asset diversification. Well, guess what? Money is a defense and a shield. And so when you have your mind on your money and your money right, guess what? It helps to make all the rest of the stuff a little bit easier. Man, if you can go and take a vacation, sometimes I close my eyes and take a 5-minute vacation. If you can go take a vacation I was talking to one of my sister girls today, and she was talking about, we can travel, and I'm thinking about, man, she talked about Dubai. I was like, whoa, or Paris, just being able to really live and enjoy your life. But in order for us to finance those things, we have to, first of all, set down a sturdy foundation, right? A sturdy foundation, and being inspired by one another to do our very best. The sister girl circle that'll be around you when you get ready to go, like we talked about on the other episode, when you get ready to spend $600 on a purse, and you have, some other things that you could be doing, like that $600 can create all of this residual income for you. So that's when you go and you finance your lifestyle. You finance that out of your, your overflow. Lisa Nichols talk about us living or giving out of our saucer and not out of our cup. Because if you're giving out of your cup, this is the prime example. So let's take a note in our notebooks. If you're giving out of your cup and not out of your saucer, then that means what's in your cup will start to deplete. That's what we mean when we talk about creating all these different assets. Okay, we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll talk about creating all of these assets, and the reason that we're talking about that is because, or that we're in the process of doing that, is because, for one, in order to be able to give and to help others and to serve others, we have to do that from a place of financial strength. In order to do that, we have to put our eyes on ourselves first, right? Be good leaders of ourselves and of our money. So that means that if you're giving out the saucer, that means that it's an overflow, right? It's an overflow coming out of your cup. So therefore, if it's in the saucer and you can give from the saucer, you're still not depleting what's in the cup. And that's what we talk about when we're talking about asset diversification, and we're talking about creating residual income. Now, people get creating residual income. They get it a little wrong, a little twisted. That's because we were taught wrong. So if you're creating all these different pots of residual income, right? They said 8 to 10, but different. Okay, so if you're doing that, but you're not focused on one and having that to create abundance and overflow, and then you're able to create another one from that abundance and overflow. If you're $10 here in this in this business opportunity and $5 in this opportunity. Maybe I'm getting $100 over here. Might be getting $500 over here. You don't get anywhere that way. It's about focusing on the one. It's okay to have the others simmering in the background, but focus on the one, the money tree that you want to shake loose to be able to create that overflow, to be able to handle the other areas. And that's what we mean when we say diversification. Because yeah, okay, so we're working a 9 to 5, right? It's okay, but you are funding and building somebody else's dream. So if you take part of that, doing a budget, you take part of that and you go over and you say, okay, like I believe it was Lisa Nichols who put a little, she had a percentage that she put and she sent to the bank, and she had automatically coming out of a check, I believe, going to the bank, or it was a check or something. But anyway, she called it funding her dream. And she did not even know how much money was in that account until I think she had like $35,000-$40,000 in that account. But it's just like a bucket. When you drip a little bit, 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 that drip may not seem like much. At $5 over here, $5 over here, may not seem like much. But when you keep focusing on that effort, that bucket finally fills up and it overflows, right? So that's what we talk about when we're talking about being clear on what is asset diversification and why do I need to hone in on this? Why do I need to be a good steward of my money? Because again, I talked about the day I had to clutch my pearls when they said $2 for air. That's because I'm so addicted to the calculator. And you can go back and look at some of the other episodes about the calculator. But I looked at that calculator and I saw that $2 ended up being $5,000. That's how the compounding effect, right? So we're talking about, my cousin and how I miss her every single day. I miss her laugh. Everything's used to tickle her so much. That's another thing. Make sure that you love on your sister girls. Make sure you love on them, because you never know. Her passing away, making her transition was so unexpected for all of us. It was just, we had made plans to go and to travel the world and end up on St. Thomas was one of her favorite places, But when you love on people, while they're living, when they make their transition, you can reflect on the good times and relive those experiences. Now, we never got a chance to get to St. Thomas, but, that's one of the places that I feel inspired to go to. So talking about people inspiring you, and the reason I was bringing her up is that in one of the earlier episodes, we talked about Les Brown. And how it was so funny how, I was invited. I always talked about I want to meet Les Brown. He's so inspiring. I love his motivational talks and, some of the strategies that he talked about. I put them in place. They didn't quite work out the way that his did, but I keep trying, keep falling down, keep getting back up. But one of the things that in that episode, it's one of the episodes in the archive that we talk about Kizzy and Lizzie Dollars, what we were at that point. And we talked about how, when I got that invitation to go to Les Brown's birthday party, it was a virtual one because it was during the pandemic. And man, oh man, I didn't take it seriously, but I just popped on just in case. Man, oh man, when Les Brown popped on that screen, I was like, oh my God, I was really surprised to be there. But in that episode, she talked about how, you never know, it says live inspired, right? Live inspired. You never know who you're inspiring. And she said one of the things that I had inspired her for, and I didn't know, was that all through my life, I've always gotten back up. No matter how hard I was either tripped and fell or made a wrong decision or made a bad turn and needed to pivot. Or, sometimes some of those decisions that we make is based out of our trauma or our past history. A lot of us are walking around with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Don't know undiagnosed anxiety or undiagnosed depression. That's why when, it's always important to not be, ashamed or afraid to go and get help if it's something going on mentally and you can't you don't know what it is, but it's no harm or no shame in going to get help for that. When in the story in our Daddy Daughter Dynamic book, who thank you everybody for all of your support. It went number one new release on Amazon. It also went number 2 bestseller in 2 categories. So, thank you all for your support and everything that you did to help us push that book. But in that story, in that book, we talk about our traumas as 13 co-authors, The Power 13. We talk about how how, our past traumas, with our daddy-daughter issues or dynamics, how, that affected us as we, moved into our adult life, and even how we navigate through relationships. And, whether we know it or not, money, we do have a relationship with our money, whether we have a good relationship, bad relationship, dysfunctional relationship, or if we have a, abusive relationship. It's a relationship, right? So oftentimes some people, one of my daughters, she loves retail therapy. That's what we call it for her, retail therapy. One loves, just like me, office supply, and go get upset and run to the office supply store and get the shop in it before you know it, you feel better. But all of these things is getting an understanding on how do you spend your money, and, what's really important to you. What, and going back to the story again, I know I deviate sometimes, but she talked about how it inspired her because every time I fell down, I still got back up. And I didn't know any other way. So take a box of tissue. If you go back and look at that session, it's the Les Brown episode. We talk about, that one will bring some tears to your eyes, because when I watch it, it still makes me tear up. But anyhow, it's just about us, knowing better and doing better and finding a better way. So today I wanted to talk about some of the people that are really, really inspiring. Some of the people that we all, may or may not know, but some of the people that, in the past have been very, very inspiring. So I'm going to share my screen, and we are going to talk a little bit about, it says, and this is an article that I found from the business journals. It's very inspiring because it says, it never hurts to be reminded that failure and rejection are minor speed bumps on the road to success. Man, how inspiring is that you just keep getting back up. So here are 10 examples of people who succeed or who succeeded through pure grit. Michael Jordan, I love his story. I love when they talk about, Michael Jordan was cut from his basketball team. It was a heartbreaking experience for a teenager, right? And guess what? Everybody knows what happened. He became one of the greatest basketball players in the history of the game. He is the author of one favorite or famous quote. And the quote is, are you ready for this? I have missed more than 9,000 shots in my life. Woo-wee. How many of us are going to take the shot 9,000 times in my career? He said, I have lost more than 300 games. How many times? Man, less than that, and we walk away. We don't keep on pushing and keep pushing. On 26 occasions, I have been entrusted to take the game's winning shot and miss. He says 26 occasions, right? I have failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed. Man, I love that. And they know here that one of his lesser known quotes is even equally as powerful. Obstacles don't have to stop you. If you run into a wall, don't turn around and give up. Figure out how to climb it, go through it, and work around it. I love that. Is that not pure grit or what? Okay. Jack Ma, another one. Jack Ma experienced many failures in his life. He wanted to go to college, but had trouble passing the entrance exam. One of his first attempts, he scored a meager 1 out of 120 possible points on the math portion of the exam. On his second try, he failed again and barely passed on his third attempt, which allowed him to enroll in the less than prestigious some type of teacher's academy. Okay. Upon graduation, he was rejected for over a dozen positions. Listen to this, including a role at Kentucky Fried Chicken, where all the other 24 applicants were accepted. Man, talk about it. Sometimes you can be, a little bit different because you have a special gift. And just because you are different doesn't mean that you're a failure. It just means that you're different. I'm extremely right brained. So sometimes it's really challenging for me to sit still and not, be off creating or doing something. But oftentimes when you're right brained, especially as extreme cleric as I am, you just keep creating, because that's where that's where your gift is, in creating. And so the perfect puzzle piece will come together when a left brainer who can cross the T's and dot the I's come into your life. It doesn't always have to be a male counterpart. It can be your sister girl as well. Ultimately, let's talk about Jack Ma. Ultimately, he got a job teaching English at a local university. Yet, when he discovered the internet in 1995 while visiting a friend in the United States, he saw an opportunity to bring the World Wide Web to China. Here is an individual who barely made it in college, had failed at most of what he had done up to that date, whose only real job was an English teacher and a translator, who knew nothing about computers or email or internet. Come on now, he's getting rid of all the excuses that we may have. Yet, his first reaction upon seeing the internet was to think he could add value. We're talking about some very key principles here. Think. First think, then he added value. And do something monumental. Okay? And he did. He created Alibaba from scratch and became one of the richest men in the world. If you don't know what Alibaba is, go back and research it. He became, what did it say? Well, one of the richest men in the world. And look where he came from. Whoa, we talk about pure grit, man, right? J.K. Rowling. Rowling had her first Harry Potter novel rejected. Listen to this. All right, she's in my corner. She's in my court now, writing books. 12 times, rejected 12 times, and was told not to quit her day job. How many times people tell you something that will try to totally discourage you? But let's get through this list. Her latest novel continued to get rejection letters. She proudly posted those letters on Twitter, and for good reason. Rowling is in great company. Many successful writers rightfully consider their early rejections to be badges of honor. Stephen King's first book, Carrie, accumulated at least 30 rejection slips before it was accepted by Doubleday. Legend has it that Jack London's first story was rejected, listen to this, 600 times before finally being published. But guess what? It couldn't have been rejected 600 times had he not submitted it 600 times. That means when I talked about my hurdles and dusting it off and getting back up, it wasn't 600 times, and it definitely wasn't 9,000 shots at the basketball rim and missing it, right? It wasn't that. Number 4, wow, Oprah Winfrey. Wow, this is an amazing story. So I'm not going to read the whole story, but how the story goes, she had a rocky start at the beginning. She was hired as, the co-anchor for an evening spot. And then she inevitably, lost that job or got dropped a few months later, and they sent her from the anchor chair to all types of less prestigious jobs. But when she had to do writing and then she had to do street reporting, she was slow at writing. So she got yelled at because she couldn't produce fast copy. So she said that was the first and worst failure of her TV career. And we can see why, going from, anchor, then going down to writing, and you can't get that right. But look what happened. Many people in her shoes, definitely, I agree with this article, they would have changed their shoes and pursued another career, given up. But guess what? She took those hard knocks and bruises as lessons, right? And those lessons are invaluable. So sometimes we don't know why we're going through those type of lessons. We just know that, wow, we don't know why, but eventually, we all know what happened, and the rest is history in that specific, position with Oprah. Now we talk about Walt Disney. Now, I know when, Disney was hired as a young man from his newspaper job let's say he was hired as a newspaper man, was younger, then he got fired for lack of good ideas. Man, can you believe that? Lack of good ideas. Then he started his first animation company in 1921, but that quickly went bankrupt. Man, okay, he could have quit there, right? He ended up eating Dog food. Oh my gosh, literally to survive. I missed that part when I skimmed over it. Man, oh man, oh my goodness. Wow. A lot of people would have, totally given up. Hmm. But you know what happened with Walt Disney? In fact, he had to restart several more times after, he went into the business, he talked about how he wanted to create and capture that, that childlike feel. And, people did not believe in that idea. They did not believe in it. But guess what? He didn't quit. And finally, he became successful. We talk about Henry Ford. Ford left his long-term, comfortable job in 1889 to establish the Detroit Automotive Company with his first investment. Here we go. Other key terms, right? 150,000. A little bit over a year. Oh my goodness. Again, he went bankrupt. Somehow his investors still have faith in him. And oftentimes it's the people in your circle that have faith in you that help you to continue to propel forward, right? And his investors still had faith in Ford and invested in Henry Ford's company in 1901. But this company went bankrupt as well. Oh my gosh, oh my God, how many people still holding on and helping you out, even when you're bankrupt the second time? They believe in you. You see your field of diamonds. Having lost all his investors' money twice, would you try a third time? Ford did, establishing the Ford Motor Company in 1903. First, 5 years later, the company became successful with the release of, you all know, the Model T and the invention of the assembly line. See, we never know where stuff comes from, right? The assembly line. Man, oh man. Number 7, Jay-Z. Jay-Z was turned down as a rapper in the early 1990s by every record label in the business, with some stated he was too old, and some concerned that he wasn't hard enough, as he didn't rap about drugs and crimes. Instead of giving up, he formed his own. And oftentimes that's what we have to do. But the phone formed his own record label to release his first album. Fast forward, he and his wife Beyonce are worth an estimated 900 million, the majority of it from Jay-Z's empire. Such so the article states. Wow, 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 wow. The Beatles, we have a couple more here. The Beatles. The Beatles was turned down by almost every record label despite some local success playing cover cover songs in the United Kingdom bars and clubs. And one infamous rejection, an executive at Decca Records declined to sign them because guitar groups are on their way out and the Beatles had no future in show business. Ouch. Of course, that rejection is now considered one of the biggest mistakes in music history, right? I'm sure, right? Because oftentimes somebody can, say something to you to discourage you, and you can use that as rocket fuel to propel you into your greatness, right? Wow. Keep this in mind the next time you are rejected, right? So we all know the history of what happened with the Beatles, right? All right. Fred Astaire, my goodness, Fred Astaire. Y'all know I just love the Ginger Rogers, Fred Astaire, all of that, the romantic kind of moves together because they move together like a well-oiled machine. Fred Astaire. Astaire must have been thrilled to book a screen test early in his career for MGM Studios. This is until he received the director's feedback, which read, can't act, can't sing, slightly bald, not handsome, can dance a little. After becoming immensely successful, Astaire displayed that note in his Beverly Hills mansion to remind himself never to take no for an answer. Well, all righty. Now we're going to talk about Babe Ruth, number 10. Ruth is considered one of the greatest basketball players of all time, right? An accolade that is well deserved given his home run record. What most people don't know is that when he retired in 1935, he also held the record for the most strikeouts in all of Major League basketball. Here I go again, baseball. He trudged back to the dugout twice as often as he ran the bases. His explanation: I just go up there and I swing. I just keep on swinging and I keep on swinging. Every strike brings me closer to my next home run. Man, 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 those are some amazing, amazing stories. I just love to hear about success stories because what it tells me is that what one person can do, so can I, and so can you as well. So, alrighty, I hope you gleaned something from all of the success stories today, and basically fail forward or fall forward. Never, ever, 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 ever quit, right? Because in the end, we win. Alrighty, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Share this information with somebody else, and I'll see you all soon. Bye for now. Oh, don't forget, listen, learn, and leverage the information. Y'all stay fearless. Bye for now.